Welcome back to Patrick Christie's Tonight. Coming up, Anne Widdecombe gives her take on a bombshell poll that is very, very good news for Nigel Farage and reform. But first, should footballers just stop taking the knee? It's time for our head-to-head. Yes, so taking the knee is back. Premier League players will do the BLM-inspired gesture 6 times this season, including before this weekend's opening fixtures, to show their commitment to fighting racism and discrimination. But why is taking the knee a pointless stunt which started before the Premier League games in June 2020 still happening? Look, after all, several players have hit out and actually refused to do it in the past few seasons. Former Crystal Palace player Wilfried Zaha was the first to break ranks, branding it degrading, while Brentford and England striker Ivan Toney said players were being used as puppets and has stood tall ever since. But what do you think? Should footballers now stop taking the knee? Let me know your thoughts. Go to gbnews.com/your say or tweet me at gbnews. And while you're there, go and vote in our poll. But first, going head-to-head on this are former professional footballer Jason Cundy and GB News presenter Nana Akua. Both of you, thank you very, very much. Great to have you both on the show. Nana, I will start with you. Do you think that footballers should stop taking the knee?
Well, to be honest, I don't know why they even started. If I'm totally honest with you, it is an empty gesture. Let's look at what it came from. It came from Black Lives Matter, which was in the States. That has turned out to be a bit of a fraudulent organisation. The woman for his colours who set it up, she's done for about $80 million that was raised. She spent it on houses and cars. If you look to the UK, there's been Zara Aleem from Black Lives Matter, who was put in jail for misappropriating £22,000 of funds. Then if you look to the whole reason why they're doing this is supposedly the racist killing of George Floyd. Yes, he was murdered. It was horrible. But, you know, you could argue that maybe it wasn't to do with race. 2 officers were white. 1 was black. The other was Asian. They were all culpable. Yes, the guy who put his his knee on his neck was white, but they were all culpable, all of them. So to me, the gesture is pointless. And also the FA are so rich. They really wanted to stamp out racism. They could invest some money properly in it. If you look at the top of the FA, how many managers are black in the FA? You've got 43% of the players are black, about 57% are white or black or mixed. And at the top of the FA, people managing the football clubs, I think it's 1% of black people. If they're really serious about racism, why don't they start there?
I'll come back to you. Jason, well, yeah, I suppose, look, come back to that, mate. Why should they take the knee?
Well, it's actually the Premier League that are doing this. It's the biggest, most watched league in the world. And we have, I think, been brilliant at trying to stamp out racism. There's a huge amount that needs to be done. But you can only see from what happened with the Argentinian winning side when they won the Copa America, how there are parts of this world that actually are still spouting racism and still think it's acceptable. And I think that the Premier League realises it's the most watched league in the world. This is not just about what goes on in this country, it's about what goes on globally. And I think this is a part of the game that the Premier League recognise that they have a voice. Now, in terms of individuality, there have been lots of complaints. Players decided, you mentioned Ivan Toney, Wilfried Zaha, there's been many actually that have decided not to do it, because the point that Nana makes is a valid one. There is not enough being done, not just in this country. There's still racism on the terraces. There's still racism in society. But I think if you look across what's still going on, that football has a voice. And I think that the Premier League have realised that their voice can be heard. And I think to do it 6 games out of the 38-game season, I think shows that it's still very much top of the list. But on top of that, what more can be done? There's no point taking the knee on Saturday and Sunday if we find on next weekend that there's racism still going on. There's still plenty of work to be done.
Yeah, and Nana, I wonder whether or not they stand accused of a little bit of kind of shameless virtue signalling, though, really, because you saw the likes of Jordan Henderson, or it's a different issue, but, you know, it was very big and prominent when it came to the rainbow armband or whatever it was, and then the first whiff of a bit of cash, basically, it appeared to me anyway, that he was straight off to Saudi Arabia, where, you know, I'm not quite sure exactly what the horrible punishment for being gay over there is now, but I'm pretty sure it is death.
Well, it's a total virtue signal. It's for you to show me that you are non-racist in your action of bending down on a knee. But to me, I say, get off your knees, get on your feet and do something active about it. I don't want to see people on their knees. I want to see the FA or UEFA or all of those FIFA all leading from the top. And that would be that if if half of the players, and it's practically half of them, are of colour, why is that not even remotely replicated at the top? So to me, I just see it as an empty gesture. What is the point of it? It's been going on for years and still not much has happened. And the bottom line is this: these clubs are rich. Football is rich. If they really wanted to prosecute everybody, and we've seen Keir Starmer, he's able to prosecute people using cameras and everything. If they really wanted to prosecute racists on the terraces, they really could, and they haven't. And they've had years to do it. So why would getting down on one knee now change it? It's not changing anything. It needs to start from the top, and it hasn't.
I do wonder, Jason, whether or not it has much of an impact. I mean, look, when I obviously don't watch as much football as you. I mean, it's literally your job, right? But I do watch quite a bit of it. And, at the start of games or in the highlight shows, etc., match of the day, it does seem like, right, OK, so we'll take the knee, and the commentator will go out of his way or her way to tell us what a wonderful thing this is. And, suspiciously at times I do wonder whether or not the fan sound goes down, because I've been at a few football games where it's not been that well received, but you don't tend to see that in the highlight shows. And then there might be a round of applause for something else, and there might be something else going on, and eventually we get a bit of football. Do the fans actually like this?
I don't know. You have to ask them, to be honest with you. I think some section of fans, the ones that are booing, I think there are many different people why they boo. I think what Nana's point she's making, I think, is valid, that people do think it's virtual signalling, that it's done for show.
Yes.
But I think that it can only be a good thing in my mind that we are discussing this, and we all realise I think in 100 years' time, this conversation could still be going on. There still needs to be work done. There still needs to make sure that the Argentinian national side to be singing racist songs about black African-American footballers that now play for the French national side are getting racially abused. That tells me only one thing, that the message is still not getting across. Forget this country. Nana, you're being a little bit small-minded.
No.
One at a time. Go on, Jason, finish
But listen, I hear you talking about other countries, but they're rich. The football leagues in other countries and
it's not just up to football to change society.
This is a society problem. I'm talking. So they could do something about it. Why is it down to people to bend down on a knee when you've got these rich businesses who could actually they could get rid of this in a heartbeat by actually taking action when people are racist?
All right, go on, Jason.
They're not, though, are they?
No, but listen, why are you having a pop at football?
I'm not having a pop at football. You asked me a question about taking the knee. The answer to me, I'm talking about racism. Racism is serious. If you think bending down on one knee to show how non-racist you are gets rid of it, it doesn't. It needs to start from the people who are running football, who will not allow it within their stadium. Why are they allowing it?
Let's let Jason
This isn't football's problem. Football has an issue with racism, but let me tell you now, it's not football's problem. Football's trying to do something about it.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Not bending down on a knee. So you think that bending down on one knee does something about it? I've literally gone through and explained to you how, if you look at the organisations that run football, how they have hardly any black people at the top. So if they're really serious about racism, then that should be coming from the top.
When
give me an example, at least half the players of colour, and in other countries they could manage it properly.
Give me an example
of what?
Of what changes you'd make. What changes would you make?
Okay, so the changes I'd make would be from the top. I would make sure that I enable. Well, stop talking, and I might be able to say it. I would enable some of those players who may want to be managers to actually open the door, because it seems a bit odd that you've got literally half your players who are black and you've got nothing at the top there. So that's one of the things I'd be looking at. The second thing I would do is absolutely prosecute everybody who dares be racist on the stand. So if there is racist chanting, they will be prosecuted, just like Keir Starmer is doing with the riots. That will shut them up. So why are they not doing that? Why are you relying on people bending down on one knee to say, I'm so non-racist, look at me, aren't I good? Nothing is changing. They've been doing it for years. Nothing has changed.
Sorry, Nana, there's going to be 50, 60, 70,000 people at some stadiums. You want to police that stadium. What would you do if you were the police?
Well, I would do exactly what Keir Starmer's doing. You use, the facial recognition cameras, and then come for these people later. You've got thousands of people on protest. I would start there. And you know what? Just in the same way that puts people off, that would put people off.
Honestly, Nana, seriously, you're not a football fan, are you?
I actually, that's not true. I am. I just don't.
Okay, so how many games do you go to then? How many games do you go to?
I don't go to football games. I don't go to football games.
Well, this was my point, right? Because there might be chances, but trying to prove racism in a 70, 80,000 stadium, that is not as easy what you've just made out.
All right.
You're talking garbage.
What? So people are chanting racist chants and throwing bananas?
What are they chanting? Show me it. Show me it. Give me examples.
I don't know what they're chanting, but if people are being racist,
of course you don't.
What you're
Okay,
saying,
guys.
You're saying there's loads of racism. If there's loads of racism, surely you can see
Guys,
it. Or hear it. Where is it then?
I mean, this is very good, but I am going to have to stop it, I'm afraid, because I've got a load of other stuff on. But